What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Well, let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story comes from Unhappy Tiger 1751 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit, and says, "Am I the arsehole here for letting my dad think I was missing and causing him to be disowned? This happened in 2020, but recently got brought up, so I thought I'd ask. So I, 17 female, used to have a great relationship with my stepmother. I genuinely saw her as a mother figure in my life and was so excited when she found she was pregnant. But everything changed in 2020, and I had to stay prematurely with my dad during the lockdowns because my mum is a surgeon. At first, everything was normal until my stepmother, Tammy, was about 4 months pregnant. She started snapping at me for no reason, and things that she didn't care about before now bothered her. Now, I wasn't a messy or a loud person. I did everything I was asked and respected the rules without any backtalk. But no matter what I did, she got angry. It came to a point where she couldn't stand being in the same room as me. I remember I ended staying in my room most of the time. I only left to do chores or get something from the kitchen. Even at that, she got mad. Like, one day she came into my room angry and started yelling that my room was so smelly it was making her sick. I pointed out that the only mess in the room was a half bag of chips, which caused her to burst out crying. As always, Dad babied her, then made excuses saying she was struggling over lockdown, pregnancy, and not being able to see her family. My mental health was extremely bad. I felt like I was a piece of trash that any day my dad was going to throw away, and I was always scared my mum would get sick. It was so bad my hair started falling out. The breaking point came when I was at the kitchen table. I was reading a story on my phone, waiting for my cereal to go soggy to eat it, when Tammy came in, huffed, and started cleaning loudly, complaining about a mess. The kitchen was spotless. Then she took my bowl and threw it in the bin. Literally, even the bowl. So I just flipped and started yelling at her what was her problem with me, and called her an abusive fucking bitch, among other things. My dad came running and got between us. She demanded that I leave the house and that I was never allowed near her kid. Dad walked me to my room, then said something that ruined our relationship forever. He told me that I must have done something to Tammy because she doesn't hate kids for no reason. If I kept stressing her, I'd have to move out. I then made a social media post asking someone for a place to stay, explaining the situation in detail. I packed a bag, then climbed out my bedroom window. A bungalow. After about 30 minutes, my phone started blowing up, but I just turned it off and went to a friend's house. I texted my mum off my friend's phone to let her know everything. She didn't call for 7 hours because she was in surgery. She said my aunt would pick me up the next day. My mum told my father I was okay and that I'd be staying with my aunt for 2 weeks till she could come home. Apparently, Dad and Tammy had to go door to door to my family and friends' houses looking for me. You know, after I made the post, let's say they got a lot of shit. My grandparents still don't talk to him to this day. My aunt packed up my room because I refused to go back into the house. I've not spoken to my father in years or met my half-brother. Tammy and Dad still try to fix our relationship. Apparently, sometimes pregnant women get a hatred against people or pets for no reason. I'm turning 18 in 3 weeks, and a cousin's girlfriend asked me about inviting my dad, so I told her the story. She told me that while what they did was wrong, what I did was an arsehole thing too, because I made them worry and stress and go to multiple people's houses during a pandemic that put a pregnant woman having a mental health issue at risk by a whole stunt. So, am I the arsehole here for letting my dad think I was missing? Now, like it's kind of hinting within this story, I kind of feel like there's a mental issue going on with Tammy of some sort. As always, it's not an excuse to be treating the OP like she's being treated in this situation, and the dad not recognizing any of this. You know, OP's to the point stressing out that their hair is falling out. 17 years old and dealing with this kind of stress. I don't blame them for getting themselves out of that situation and just looking after themselves in that moment. Ambitious Topic says, you can say to them that you moved on, you forgave them, but you're not interested in having a relationship with them. But you'd like to have a relationship with your brother, and go from there. OP says they won't let that happen. My dad has been trying for 4 years to get me to speak to him or fix a relationship, even tried taking my mum to court to force me to visit. Like my mum had to physically remove Tammy by the hair because she refused to get out of the car once, until we talked it out, saying she was my stepmom for 10 years and she couldn't bear losing her daughter. I had to leave out some, because the post would be a book. Kindly rephrase as accepting their apology and an opportunity to have a relationship with your sibling. Not letting them take up free time in your head and knowing you can rely on are all positive outlooks for the future. You've had a chance to deal with your feelings and your new viewpoint on your father and stepmom, but they both failed you and showed you they won't have your back when you need it. It sounds like you have the backing of some pretty stable people. Everyone has to learn what box to put people in to create boundaries and know where a relationship lies. I'm sorry to hear it. It was your father who failed you and not a study buddy or recently acquired friend. Seek therapy and rely on those who support you. Pregnancy is not an excuse for abuse and abandonment. She continually exhibited abusive behavior, which your father chose to ignore and then support it, and said it was a mistake, which makes him complicit. Which it is the mistake? The abuse? The ignoring it for months? The abandonment? A real father says this is stressful, aunt is taking you in, not get the fuck out, then woe is me, where's my kid? The fact it took them being called out to make them see the light is the final straw for me. Do they even see the light? Do you want to take that risk? College is calling. Take that opportunity to normalize, socialize, educate, use campus resources for therapy, and use your support system as a buffer if you decide to reintegrate slowly back into your dad's circle. Dip your toes in and use the distance to set the boundary. Opie says, I'm in therapy since after it happened. My mental health was really bad, like I've come a long way. On medication too for anxiety, I've had very bad trust issues since it all happened, but one day I will get there hopefully. My friend and her parents were shocked when they saw me. I lost a lot of weight and my hair was extremely thin from falling out due to stress. My aunt took pictures as well to show in court. Angel 9 says, they made the mess, they can live with the consequences. They both sound controlling and how they dealt with it too. Opie says, I don't know about the last few years since I've left, but before lockdown I had a great relationship with them both and no issues which made everything so hard to understand at the time. But I do know, because the lawyer mentioned it to my mum, that a lot of kids and women found themselves in the same situation, but a lot worse. Like I wasn't classed as an emergency, so it wouldn't go to court for at the very least a year. By the looks of it, lockdown brought out a few people's monsters. So then OP comes in with their update and says, hi guys, I honestly thought I'd never give an update, but here I am. I'm going to call my cousin's girlfriend Sarah and my cousin Paul. So I mentioned in a comment I uninvited Sarah from the party. Yesterday Paul came over to talk and he told me Sarah had issues in the past with her younger siblings. It was apparently really bad, like her siblings lived with their mum full time and she lived with her dad. Long story short, Sarah was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in college and went to therapy. He said even though she's apologized, her siblings still won't have anything to do with her, which breaks her heart. Paul said Sarah told him that when I told her what happened, it triggered her because it reminded her of her situation with her siblings. I didn't mention it in the other post because it was really irrelevant to what I was asking, but Sarah texted me about letting go of the hate, links to sites about family members with mental health issues, numbers of family therapists, even subreddits on here. He told me Sarah wanted to meet up to clear the air and apologize in person. I said okay. Sarah texted about half an hour later about collecting me because she wanted to drive to a new restaurant that newly opened in the next town over as a pre-birthday treat to me. We know what she was planning, but Tammy ruined it for her by calling my mum to tell her Sarah's plans to help us make up. I wrote my dad a letter 2 days ago, as a lot of you suggested. I put everything in there and told him how it affects me to this day. I told him I wanted a relationship with my brother, but I wasn't sure I'll ever want one with him. I told him to leave me alone because his actions are only pushing me away even more. And if I ever decide I do want to talk to him, it will be on my terms with my mum present. The letter ended up being 5 pages, and you guys were right. It did make me feel better. My mum dropped it off that day, and Dad asked to meet her a day later. They talked about me meeting my brother, and my dad said he wants to buy me a car with no strings attached. They, Tammy, and Dad Also asked would it be okay to give me money to get myself something for my birthday. You guys are going to hate me for this, but I'm taking the car and $500. If he wants to give me more, he can, because college supplies and moving into a dorm is expensive. Back to Sarah. She's basically contacted Tammy via Facebook. Tammy sent my mum the screenshots, telling her everything I said, then asking Tammy her side because Sarah didn't believe me. To Tammy's credit, she told the truth and took full accountability. It was Sarah who kept trying to make out Tammy was the victim. Sarah told Tammy about her own past and said she had tried to mend our relationship. Tammy told her that she didn't want her to. The last message was Sarah telling Tammy the location and time we'd be at the restaurant. Even said she'd drive me so I couldn't leave, even though I'd just ask a waitress for help or call my mum. My mum posted the screenshots into the group chat and called Sarah a bunch of names and told her if she ever came near me again, she'd regret it. I blocked Sarah and left the group chat, so I don't know what happened afterwards. But Paul came over with my aunt and swore he knew nothing about it. To be honest, I don't know if I believe him because he was trying to defend Sarah again, which got him a verbal lashing from my aunt and mum. That's it really. I'm going to update in a few months to let you guys know how everything went with my brother. I feel like I owe everyone that after so many people helped me take that step, because honestly, words can't describe how happy it made me. Literally the best birthday present I could have gotten. Thank you so much for the amazing advice and people sharing their own experiences. Even the women who suffered mental illness that Tammy had. It helped me understand it a bit more, but I still can't forgive her. I don't think we can ever rebuild our relationship, especially to what it was. There was some relevant comment on that. Someone said, would love to know about the conversation where Paul was defending Sarah and mum and aunt gave him a tongue lashing. Are Sarah and Paul still together? Opie says, I've not spoken to him since, and my mum said don't worry about adult business, just focus on the rest of my summer and my upcoming party. But the way he was talking about her, if I had to guess, he is. 8 Marshmallow says, did Sarah's inability to respect boundaries have anything to do with her family refusing to see her? Opie said, from what I've been told by Paul and the stuff I saw in the screenshots, she was horrible to her siblings. Dare I say, abusive. Even if the watered down versions she said in one episode, she cut up her sister's clothes and ruined all her makeup by throwing them against her sister's bedroom walls. But then also she replaced everything afterwards and apologized, so she doesn't understand why the sister still holds it against her. There's a lot more she said in the messages to Tammy. My Ladybit says, well, to Tammy's credit, she did not participate in this deception, and as soon as she learned of it, informed your mother. Your father made a mistake. A bad mistake. Tammy was unwell and in crisis. It's up to you to move forward. You can have zero relationship with your father or work on repairing. And repairing doesn't mean they have to dance to your tune. Taking the car and money without making an effort to connect is greedy. You're almost 18. It's time to think about who it is you want to be. Opie says, I didn't ask for the car or the money. He gave it no strings attached. If he said I'd have to talk to him, I wouldn't accept it. He doesn't have to legally give me another penny in 3 more weeks, but if he chooses to, that's on him. Opie comes in with what they title their final update. It says, hi guys, as promised, I'd give everyone an update, and it's the final one. Short version, I turned 18 3 days ago, had a great time. I've met my brother, Sarah tried to get in contact with me again, and I've spoken to my father and Tammy. It's easier to break everything down. Sarah, a day after I made the last update, my mum booked a holiday for a week to get away, which was really random and sudden for her. 3 days in, my mum got a notification that someone was at our door. It was Sarah. Sarah at first was normal, asking my mum to talk to me. Then she started explaining herself and her situation, which went between sad and angry, but suddenly she freaked out, started calling me names and threatening me while damaging our door and porch, even broke the Ring camera. It was extremely scary. I didn't blame her siblings for wanting nothing to do with her. Sarah was arrested. My mom is definitely pressing charges. I don't know much about her situation now, but I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking over my shoulder a lot since. For those wondering, yeah, her and my cousin broke up. Let's say shaken up worse than me and very apologetic. My brother. My birthday went great and I had such a good time. Honestly, the best mother family in the world. They really made my 18th special. I got so many amazing presents, but my favorite was The sister necklace my brother gave me, obviously Dad or Tammy got it, but I finally get to be his sister, and that's what I've wanted for so long. We have spent some time together and I'm seeing him again tomorrow. He's so extremely adventurous, never sits down for a second. He loves Miss Rachel and Green. I found out he and the neighbor's cat will stare each other down, which I used to do when I stayed at Dad's. I could talk for hours about him. I'm so glad you guys helped me meet him. I can't thank you enough for that. Dad. My dad was there the first time I met my brother. I knew beforehand, because obviously my brother is a toddler. Basically, we met at Dad's sibling, Aunt's house. I was told he'd stay in the kitchen the whole time. I caught him peeking at me and brother a few times throughout the day. When I was leaving, my dad followed me out and just hugged me. He told me he missed me, and I hugged him back and told him I missed him too. As you know, it was the first time I've spoken to him in years. He apologized and took accountability. I started angry crying and then just let everything out. I told him how they made me feel, my mental health, and that I love him but I'll never forgive him. He apologized and took accountability. I started angry crying, then just let everything out. I told him how they made me feel, my mental health, and that I'll love him but I'll never forgive him. He asked me if he could try to make it up to me and be a part of my life again. I said we can try, but I'm making no promises on ever getting back to the relationship we once had. We've spoken a few times and he's helped me when I needed to bring my large dog home from the vet. Now Tammy. You guys are going to be shocked, but I was the one who contacted her. So I got my mum to call her to basically say, Jessica is with me, she wants to speak to you. Tammy was obviously shocked, but I agreed. I told her after everything she put me through and how much she hurt me, that we'd never have a relationship. But unwillingly, for just my brother's sake, not hers or mine, to be civil, because I want us to be able to attend my brother's events without drama. Tammy started apologizing and telling me she's not like that anymore. She got help, which I said I'm glad she's doing better. We talked about the Sarah situation and my brother for a few minutes. The whole call was like 20 minutes, and I've not spoken to her since, but that's like 5 days ago. So that's it, really my last update. I know what people are thinking about my dad. I've not forgiven him and he'll have to work extremely hard to get back the relationship we lost. I feel better that he's back in my life and I do believe both of them regret it. But if I get any shit or think my brother isn't being treated well, I will make their lives hell. Thank you so much Reddit for the amazing advice. My name is Jessica and I'm praying I'll never have to make a post on here again. There was one relevant comment after this update to which Opie responded to. Max Fisher says, I'm not in your shoes, so I'm not telling you or advising you on what to do, but I just want to give you an experience I had. I, male 32 at the time, was working in a small office and everyone got along. I worked with a woman, let's call her Gina, who I got along with great. We talked and joked and were, I would say, very good friends. She found out she was pregnant and everyone was happy. Starting in her second trimester, she made my work life hell. She was always angry with me, condescending, made snide remarks, talked badly about me to others. I was the only one she was doing it to. I had no idea what I had done. Everyone else we worked with said I'd done nothing and that she was out of line. People would speak to her and tell her she needed to stop. One of my co-workers pulled her aside to talk to her about it, and I was later told Gina had said she was acting the way she was because she couldn't stand me. Hoped I'd lose my job and everyone would be better off if I didn't work there anymore. I was miserable. I dreaded going into work. I started sending out my resume and even went on a couple of interviews. Gina went on maternity leave and everything was peaceful. About a month after she had the baby, she came into the office to introduce her new daughter to everyone. She asked if she could talk to me privately, and we went into a conference room. She immediately started crying. I mean, gushing tears, ugly crying. She just kept saying how sorry she was. She had no idea why she did what she did. She said she knew she was being terrible and she just couldn't stop herself. She heard everyone tell her she had to stop and she just couldn't do it. She said she even had told her husband about it while she was pregnant, and he told her that it wasn't me, it was her. He told her he knew it was her because she did it to him when they were having their first kid. She said after the baby was born, all the thoughts and hostility went away. She just could not stop apologizing. There was no way it was an act. I told her that she made my life miserable for those months, and I was getting ready to find a new job all because of her. She looked horrified and started crying even harder. But I liked my job and told her that I forgave her. I would hold off on leaving as long as everything was back to normal. She promised it would be. I also told her that if she got pregnant again, I'd be putting in my notice. Joking. Kind of. And everything did go back to normal. She was just as nice as she had been before the baby. Once again, I'm not telling you to do anything or trying to sway your thoughts on this. I just wanted to give you events from someone that found themselves in a similar situation. Opie responded saying, Tammy said something similar. She knew she was the bad guy and knew what she did was wrong. She told me she tried to find ways to justify herself in the moment, but felt bad after. It's a thing that can happen during pregnancy. Some women turn against a cat they loved or even their own husbands. But unfortunately as well, Tammy after the baby had postnatal psychosis. For me, I knew she got help and changed when she warned my mum about Sarah. I know her reason and she's trying to make up for it, but I don't think I can forgive her. I saw her as a second mum. I think the best thing we can hope for in the future is a friendship. And that was Opie's last comment on the situation. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, you are absolutely amazing. Please do not forget that, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.